All right, Algebra 2 peeps. Let's start off and first of all, here's the second part of our 4.8 videos, the last part. Notice that we got different numbers. Sorry, my your screen sharing notification is blocking the text. Notice that we got different numbers and types of solutions in each of the examples. In some of those, we got 2 solutions, in others we got 1. In some of those, we got real numbers, and in others we got complex, okay? One part of the quadratic formula that tells us the number and type of solutions is called the discriminant, okay? So that's what the discriminant is if you've never heard of it before. It's got a funky name. I don't know why it's kind of, I don't know why it's called the discriminant. Sometimes I have an explanation for why things are called that, why certain math things are called what they are. I have yet to learn why it's called the discriminant. It's kind of a weird word, but it's okay. It's the stuff chilling inside the radical, the b squared. Oh, still in highlight mode. The b squared minus 4ac. That is our discriminant. Discriminant. I can speak properly, I promise. Awesome. Okay, so there's 3 possibilities for that discriminant. Okay, so I'm going to write it 3 times. Okay, 3 different cases, 3 different possibilities. It can be bigger than 0, so positive. All right, so this is positive. It's a positive number. It can be equal to 0, or it can be, let me make that more of a distinct equal sign. There we go. Or it can be less than 0, aka negative, right? So what happens in each of these scenarios? Well, in the first scenario, we get 2 real solutions. That was like part A of the example we did above. When it's equal to 0, we get only 1 real solution, right? And you saw why. It was because that plus minus chunk canceled it out. It no longer was a thing, it was 0. So that plus minus is no longer in effect. And so you just have the b over 2a. Does that sound familiar? I hope it does. B squared minus 4ac being less than 0. That means we have a negative under the radical, and we have the plus minus, so we get 2. I don't know why I put a comma there. Complex solutions. Okay, so these are all our options, right? And you're going to want to either have this written down or remember it, right? Because sometimes we really just only want to bother ourselves with calculating the discriminant to see what kinds of solutions that equation is going to have. Okay, so let's put it into action. Use the discriminant to find the number and types of solutions for each of the quadratic equations. We're not solving them fully. We're just going to figure out what kinds of solutions and how many there are. First one, it's already set in the quadratic equation or quadratic expression equals 0, so I'm good to go. My A is 3, my B is 12, my C is 12. So b squared minus 4ac is equal to 3 squared minus 4 times 12 times 12. Ooh, that's going to be a big number. 9 minus 4 times 12 times 12. Well, that's 4 times 144. And let's ask our calculator what that is. That's 576. Big number. 9 minus 576. That is going to be negative. Ooh, almost, that gave me a little bit of vertigo. Negative 567. Okay. I was like, but that was that number, but it's not. It's a little different. Sorry. So because it's negative, our discriminant's negative, we have 2 complex solutions, right? I need the number and the type. 2 complex. Nice. Now, when we use our discriminant, we still need to remember that everything's got to be on the left. So for part B, before I can use my discriminant, I got to first do some work, do some math. Minus 9x plus 11 on each side. Boom, boom, we get 8x squared minus 9x plus 11 equals settle. Awesome. A is 8, B is -9, and C is 11. So then our discriminant, our good old friend discriminant, is going to be -9 squared minus 4 times 8 times 11 equals 0. Oh, excuse me. -9 squared, that's 81. Minus 4 times 8 times 11, I don't know, let's ask calculator. What is that? Thank you, it's 352. Oh, I guess I didn't look ahead because this is kind of boring. This is also, it's gonna give us a negative number. Let's go ahead and figure that out. 81 minus 352, that is -271. Sorry, y'all, that's kind of boring. We got another 2 complex solutions. But just know that if we get a positive, that's 2 real solutions. If we get 0, that's going to be 1 real solution, sorry. I don't know why I spaced out there. Okay, hopefully that sounds all right. Let's go ahead and finish off with one last example. Okay, we're not always just interested in x-intercepts. Sometimes we want to find x values associated with other y values. So here's a perfect example of that. Okay, so Mr. G tosses a pencil up in the air. The pencil's height off the ground, h, so h is the variable representing the height, in feet, t seconds after it leaves Mr. G's hand is given by this equation, or sorry, this function. We have h is equal to -16t squared plus 40t plus 4. Mr. G catches the pencil, when it falls back down to a height of 3 feet above the ground. Okay, that's going to be some pretty important information. How long is the pencil in the air? All right, so I throw the pencil up and I let it kind of, be in the air, and then I catch it when it's 3 feet above the ground. All right, so what do I want to find out? I want to find out how long it took for it to leave my hand and then, do its ascent and then descent, and then I want to figure out when it came back down to a height of 3 feet. All right, so we're assuming that I threw it somewhere above 3 feet and then it fell back down to 3 feet. Okay, so if h is representing the feet above ground, the height above the ground, what I want to do is take my equation. You guys are used to taking this equation and directly setting it equal to 0. We're not doing that in this case, right? Because if I set it equal to 0, I'm asking myself, how long did it take to hit the ground, right? Because 0 feet means on the ground. I don't want to figure out how long it took to hit the ground. I want to figure out how long it took to get to 3 feet. So I'm setting it equal to 3. All right, so you're not always setting this equal to 0, which is okay, because remember, if I want to get a 0, well, I just got to clear both sides. So, clear that side. So -3, -3. I get -16t squared plus 40t plus 1 is equal to 0. And then guess what? We can use the quadratic formula. We don't have to worry about factoring. We don't have to worry about completing the square. We can just rely on our good old friend, the quadratic formula. T is equal to -40 plus or minus the square root of 40 squared, -40 squared, minus 4 times -16 times 1 divided by -2 times -16. I got ahead of myself there. All right, so this one's going to be a little bit hairier, and because they want us to find how long the pencil's in the air, we probably want to give them a decimal approximation. So we're going to want to calculate this eventually. Let's simplify it as much as we can and then throw it into our calculators. Okay, so t is equal to -40 plus or minus square root of -40 squared, that's 1,600, minus 4 times -4 times -16, that's going to be +64, divided by negative 32. So why don't we take care of this negative already, right? We're going to divide that negative in eventually. That's just going to make our 40 in front positive, and it technically switches this, but you know, we don't really have to notate that. It's still going to be plus minus, right? So plus minus square root of 1,664 divided by positive 32 now. All right, so let's kind of look ahead a little bit. We're talking about time here. So let's first figure out what the square root of 1,664 is. Calculator tells us that it's equal to, so we have 40 plus or minus. It's going to be about 40, we'll use 3 decimal places here, 40.792 divided by 32. Okay, so let's look ahead a little bit. If I add these two, I'm going to get a positive number. If I subtract these two, I'm going to get a negative. I don't really care for negative here. So I'm going to ignore that solution. All right, so I don't care about the minus one. And it's not that you're never going to care about the minus part. It's just in this case, if I do minus, you can see that 40.792 is bigger than 40. So we don't really care about it, right? Because we need a positive number for time. 40 plus 40.792 divided by 32. That's going to be 80.792 divided by 32. And our good old calculator says that, oh crap. There we go, plus 40. Sorry, I mistyped in the calculator. There we go. Our answer is going to be about, so let's use squigglies because it's not exact, 2.53 seconds is our t value. Awesome. All right, so we went ahead and we took a journey through using our good old quadratic formula. Okay, notice how that's so much quicker compared to some of the other stuff we've done, okay? Not to say that the other stuff we've done is now deemed useless. Some of those skills you're gonna need for our study of polynomials in chapter 5. But now when you have a quadratic, you can just use the quadratic formula. And if you need to solve it, right? If you need to do something else, then you're gonna do something else. But if you're solving a quadratic equation, we now have the holy grail, the quadratic formula, okay? Go ahead and work on that practice set tomorrow when I see you. Remember that our practice sets are from now on going to be in Delta Math. So if you're one of the ones that hasn't downloaded or has not made an account yet, get on that or else you can't do your practice set. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one, okay? Have a great night.